A janitor thinks he can fix this? The words sliced through the executive conference room like a sharp knife. Every conversation stopped. Every breath seemed to freeze in place. Victoria Harrington's voice carried no doubt, no humor, and no mercy. It was loud enough to echo off the glass walls of the room. Her tone was cold, sharp, and dripping with disgust as she pointed a manicured finger at the engine sitting on the long, narrow conference table. The engine sparked softly, wires exposed like open wounds. Her diamond bracelet caught the glow of the LED lights as she dramatically lifted her hand to cover her nose. "Honestly," she said, shaking her head, "you even smell like grease." Laughter did not come immediately. Instead, there was a pause, a heavy one, the kind that presses down on the chest. At the doorway stood Carlo Mendoza. He had stopped mid-step. Two black trash bags were clenched tightly in his rough, calloused hands. One bag brushed against his leg. The other sagged slightly, filled with shredded papers and discarded coffee cups from the meeting that had just ended. Carlo did not move. Slowly, one by one, heads turned toward him. 20 executives, 20 pairs of eyes. They looked at him the same way Filipinos like him had learned to recognize early in life. Eyes filled with quiet judgment, quick dismissal, and a belief that he did not belong. Some stared openly. Others avoided his gaze, pretending to be uncomfortable but unwilling to defend him. Victoria Harrington stood up from her chair. Her foreign heels clicked sharply against the polished marble floor of the Makati high-rise. Each step was confident. Each step was deliberate. She walked toward Carlo until they were face to face. Close enough. Close enough for him to smell her expensive perfume, sweet, sharp, and layered with something far worse. Contempt. She tilted her head slightly, studying him like an object that had wandered into the wrong room. "Here's my offer," she said, snapping her fingers inches from his face. The sound cracked through the silence. "You fix this P120 million engine," she continued, her lips curling into a thin smile. "The same engine engineers from top universities couldn't repair." She paused. "And I'll marry you right here in this room." A few nervous chuckles rippled through the room. Some executives forced smiles. Others looked down at their laptops. No one spoke. Victoria's smile widened. "When you fail," she said smoothly, "and you will, security will escort you out permanently." The room fell completely silent. Not even the hum of the air conditioning seemed loud enough to break it. This machine wasn't just broken metal and wires. It carried P3 billion worth of contracts, P3 billion worth of partnerships, P3 billion worth of promises. And now, all of it hung on a man everyone had already decided was incapable. Have you ever been dismissed so completely that someone turned your humiliation into entertainment? Maharlika Dynamics rose above Metro Manila like a glass monument to ambition. 40 floors of steel, glass, and ego towered over the endless flow of EDSA traffic below. From above, the city looked small, controlled, predictable. Inside, the building felt untouchable. This was the Philippines' most ambitious autonomous transport company, a tech giant aiming to change delivery logistics across Southeast Asia. Inside its walls, billion-peso ideas were born. Climate-controlled labs hummed with servers. Boardrooms smelled of imported leather, polished wood, and ambition. Victoria Harrington built this empire with ruthless efficiency. At 39, the white female CEO from overseas ruled through fear disguised as excellence. Her blonde hair was always pulled into a flawless bun, not a single strand out of place. Her suits were sharp, perfectly tailored to intimidate. Business magazines called her a visionary, a disruptor, a genius. Her employees whispered a different word: cruel. At the center of the boardroom sat Maharlika Dynamics' crown jewel, a next-generation AI-guided engine designed to power an entire fleet of self-driving delivery trucks. 3 years of development, 51 patents, the brightest engineers money could buy. The engine promised 94% energy efficiency, enough to dominate logistics in Manila, Cebu, and Davao almost overnight. Enough to crush competitors, enough to change everything. But for 6 weeks, it refused to cooperate. The engine would run for exactly 14 minutes and 37 seconds. Then it would overheat. Then it would shut down. Every single time, error code flashed on the screens like a curse. Harmonic disruption detected. Carlo Mendoza knew every hallway of Maharlika Dynamics. For 3 years, he pushed his cleaning cart across these marble floors. Unnoticed, executives stepped around him like he was part of the furniture. His ID badge read, Technical Support Consultant. But everyone knew the truth. He emptied trash bins, mopped floors, cleaned executive restrooms. What no one cared to ask was why a janitor owned engineering textbooks thicker than legal codes. In his small rented apartment in Quezon City, a diploma hung quietly on the wall. Mechanical Engineering Technology, from a state polytechnic college. A reminder of dreams postponed, not abandoned. While his classmates moved on to prestigious universities, Carlo stayed behind. His father's dialysis treatments came first. Always P18,000 per session. 3 times a week, PhilHealth covered only part of it. The math was merciless. Dreams could wait, bills could not. As the engine crisis dragged on, Victoria's meetings grew louder. More violent, she paced the boardroom like a caged predator. Her heels struck the floor in sharp rhythms that made junior staff flinch. Coffee cups piled up on the table like proof of panic. "Piri billion," she shouted during a disastrous Tuesday meeting. "That's what we lose if this engine fails by Friday." Engineers sat frozen in their seats. Graduates from Ateneo da UP, De La Salle, even foreign universities. Their laptops all displayed the same cursed error code. Miguel Santos, the team leader, hadn't slept properly in weeks. Top of his class, earning more than most Filipinos made in a year. His eyes were red, his hands shook slightly. They tried everything. Software patches, hardware replacements, full system resets. Someone even suggested the building's electrical grounding might be interfering. Another whispered about office energy. Stress, bad luck. Victoria's eyes scanned the room for someone to blame. "Maybe," she said slowly, her voice low and dangerous. "We have people here who don't belong." Her gaze landed on Carlo as he quietly replaced the water jug. "Dead weight," she continued, "dragging us down. No one defended him. No one spoke." Carlo pretended not to hear. He had learned early that silence was survival. But his mind never stopped working. Late at night, long after executives had gone home, Carlo cleaned the boardroom. And he studied the blueprints left behind. What he saw disturbed him. The engine was manufactured in Europe using strict metric precision. But the AI calibration software was developed locally, using mixed unit tolerances, millimeters talking to inches, decimals arguing with fractions. It wasn't software failure. It was a language problem. Internal emails told an uglier story. Carlo was referred to as the cleaning guy. Meetings discussed his termination as a cost-cutting opportunity. One HR manager joked about whether he could even read technical manuals. Victoria herself approved cleaning schedules that placed him in rooms during investor meetings. Subtle humiliation disguised as inclusion. "We give opportunities to everyone," she would say loudly, smiling for guests. Charity, not respect. Wednesday morning arrived heavy and tense. Black SUVs rolled into the company compound. The investors had arrived. European partners representing billions in potential funding. Among them was Klaus Richter, a precision-obsessed industrial leader, a man known for rejecting entire companies over minor flaws. With him was Dr. Elena Ruiz, a legendary automotive engineer. Her patents powered vehicles across continents. This wasn't just business, it was Judgment Day. Thursday morning, disaster struck. The final test failed spectacularly. Smoke filled the boardroom. Sprinklers activated. Water poured down. Laptops drowned. The smell of burned circuitry mixed with humiliation. Victoria called an emergency assembly. 200 employees packed the auditorium. Investors sat in the front row. Carlo stood near the exit, invisible as always. "We've exhausted all solutions," Victoria announced. Her voice was calm now, dangerously calm. "Effective immediately, we will begin terminating non-essential personnel." Her eyes drifted. They found Carlo. And then, he raised his hand. "Ma'am," he said calmly, "I believe the issue is harmonic frequency calibration, not software integration." The room turned. Whispers spread. Dr. Ruiz leaned forward. Klaus Richter narrowed his eyes. Victoria smiled. This was her moment. "Well," Victoria said loudly, "our janitor has an opinion." Laughter echoed weakly. She turned it into a spectacle. "Fix the engine, right now, in front of everyone." Her voice dropped. "You have 2 hours. If you succeed, I'll promote you. If you fail, you're done forever." Security guards moved into position. The humiliation was meant to be final. But Dr. Ruiz stood. "I will oversee this," she said firmly. The challenge became official. The live stream went live. Carlo remembered his grandfather's small auto shop in Batangas. Oil-stained floors, old engines. A man who fixed machines others declared dead. A man who taught him to listen. "Machines don't care about titles," his grandfather used to say. "They care about understanding." Carlo placed his hands on the engine, closed his eyes, listened. "The engine is perfect," he said. "The AI is perfect. They just don't understand each other." He explained the mismatch, the tolerance conflict, the harmonic resonance error. Dr. Ruiz followed his logic. Klaus Richter verified the math. Then Carlo installed a simple harmonic dampener, worth less than 3,000. 12 minutes later, the engine ran. Past 14 minutes, Past 30, perfect. The autonomous truck rolled outside. Flawless, silence. Then applause. The investors approved the deal. With conditions. Carlo would lead diagnostics. Funding increased. Victoria's emails became evidence. 2 weeks later, she was demoted. Mandatory leadership training followed. Carlo was promoted. His salary tripled, but more importantly, a system changed. 6 months later, autonomous trucks powered by Carlo's solution moved through Asian cities. His diploma still hung on his wall, next to patents awards, and a photo of a quiet Filipino man who was once invisible. Finally seen, because talent does not announce itself loudly. Sometimes it cleans the room while everyone else argues. And the real question is not who speaks the loudest, but who truly listens.